This AGE Open is brought to you by Fab Foundry. We know that new booster sets can be daunting. At Fab Foundry, we make it easy to get the cards you need your way. We've got booster boxes and complete common rare playsets, so you can crack them or stash them. Either way, we've got you covered at Fab Foundry.
And we're back, folks. So sorry about that. The meeps are having their way with our internet connection today. Not a consistent issue here at Top Deck Keep. Normally, the ones and zeros flow very steadily.
Yeah, unfortunate, especially at a day this big, but we're just going to have to keep trucking, doing what we can with what we've got.
That's right. And doing what they can with what they got are also Chris Iaali and Steven Suh. Looks like they have held themselves for the technical issues. So you haven't missed a single action in this game. The fist bump is extended. It does look like we are underway. Steven has found himself 2 copies of Sigil of Solace in the hand. If there's a better way to get ahead in the life race, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that is a fantastic start. Getting up 6 life means that Chris is going to have to claw quite a ways into
When
this
it's
game.
a roll of 6 on Scabskin Leathers, it's also not going to matter at all.
Yeah.
I think Steven was really hoping that it would be a 1.
You're trying to get those out of the way.
Yeah,
Instead
exactly.
wasting a 6.
And so it's 2 Sigils of Solace. Steven has full steam ahead in order to do that because Chris Iaali is not on the affirmative here. It's just up to 46, and even though he hasn't drawn any blood from his opponent, he has made serious headway in this game.
Yeah, that's a lot to go first with.
You know, Chris gets a good start of his own, has found himself a blue and Spoils of War. Spoils of War going to give +2 to the next sword attack and also give it Go Again. The more juicy part of this card, though, is the copper tokens that are going to bleed out of Steven Suh with every connection of a weapon. It's going to generate 2 copper tokens and save them for a big blood on our hands turn later in the game.
Yeah, this is one of the most, if not the most important thing to block. The only thing that could maybe rival it is getting that juicy gold, but as you mentioned, the blood on our hands, such a power card. So luckily for Steven, he's got that Sink Below in hand, which does cover at least the first swing.
And Sink Below is doing exactly that, covering up the damage and also the blood, the copper that could pour forth from his veins.
Ooh, but he's got the reaction.
Iron Song response, huge here. Has a reprise effect. In fact, that's the only way to get any value out of this card whatsoever except for blocking with it. Because Steven has blocked with a card specifically from hand, Iron Song response will give this attack +3. And honestly, Chris, without having the opportunity to do any filtering on Steven's first turn of the game, really looking good here.
Yeah, huge. And getting 2 copper, now threatening another 2 if this connects. The thing about that Spoils of War is it's a continuous effect, so every single connection makes 2 copper.
And Steven giving it the respect it deserves. A Mocking Blow out of the hand is going to cover that up as well. Looks like Steven has himself a pretty solid 2-card play of his own. It's going to look a little lackluster in terms of the numbers, but it's going to pay dividends down the line. He's got a copy of Booze in the hand. He's going to drink a big barrel of beer and then also follow it up with a Mocking Blow. He is ahead on life, but Booze will also afford him a boo just by coming out onto the arena or leaving the arena.
So 2 Boos means 2 Vigor, or is that a once per turn trigger?
No, that is 2 Vigor.
That's a lot of resources now.
So could mean that Steven draws himself a Show of Strength or Swing Big and is able to swing it for free on the next turn against Christopher Iaali.
Yeah, that is the sort of under-respected portion, or I guess the undervalued portion of that booing, the Vigors that you make, especially if you can pile them up. He's going to have a Tunic counter next turn as well, meaning he can do a 1-card anything almost.
It's the underhanded value to go with the underhanded cheat. Looks like Chris is blocking it out perfectly, though, with a Valiant Dynamo's kick away and also a Sink Below to boot. So that's 5 on 5. No damage conveyed there. Steven Suh remains with the life total lead after resolving 2 Sigils of Solace on turn 0. Chris Iaali resolves a Draw Swords, a very resource-hungry card for the +3 buff, but more importantly in Kassai, it allows Chris to draw a card, which then makes his sword swings free for the remainder of the turn.
Still a very powerful effect, and when you get to pair it with those blues, you come in for a lot. The scariest thing here, I think, that Steven has to worry about is the new card, the reaction that creates an ally if it connects. That's the thing that Kassai didn't really have, was a threat on the first swing up until the recent printings.
and then it'd be Blood Follows Blade if it's in the hand of Chris Iaali. That's definitely one of those things that can turn the tide in the value race, and both of these heroes are definitely looking for value, and Chris deploys Blood Follows Blade, as foretold by my co-caster, out of the hand. So now Steven has to see if he can respect this in the reaction step. There's very few things that can cover up a breakpoint of 5 as a single card, so Steven might have to overcommit in terms of the defense reactions. And no, it's just Shelter from the Storm, so 1 measly damage leaks through, and that is enough to hire a mercenary from the deathmatch arena. Chris is also going to pay into Grains of Blood Spill, so he's turning all these droplets of blood into anything but more blood. Instead, it's a guy and also a resource for later.
Yeah, these things can get out of hand very quickly. I'm very curious to see if Stevens respects it and clears it right away, or if he leaves it around for a while. It could just come down to whether he's got the Go Again cards in hand to clear it.
You know, if Steven has found a copy of Outside Interference, that is one really clean way to get rid of Centauri Sellswords by swinging a Mandible Claw at them. Beginning of the turn, though, Steven Sell will pop 2 Vigor tokens. Both these players are at 40 life still. 2 resources floating for Steven, and also a Boo conveyed by Boo's leaving the arena. It's another Scabskin's Leather activation, and it's a 5! Steven looking really hot in those boots.
Doesn't need the discard now for the Go Again. 2 action points means that Sellsword's going goodbye, almost certainly.
Whew, and what a way to start off. Sirens of Safe Harbor only coming in for a measly, that's 5, right?
7 for this one. It's a red.
Oh,
Well,
it attacks for
value.
7?
It attacks for
attacks
6.
for 6.
And then,
There we go.
Yeah. I think of cards in terms of value.
Oh, I see. That's why you're in your seat, and I'm looking at the artwork.
Yeah, 6 damage, 1 healing, and it's unpreventable once it leaves the arena. I guess you could poison the Wellet, so
True.
not entirely unpreventable, but...
In the hand of Chris Iaali is a lot of blocking cards, but it's just the Valiant Dynamo doing work here. Never mind. Sink Below out of the hand as well. So the majority of this damage covered up. 1 is going to leak through, descending Chris down to 39. Once this combat chain closes, Steven Suh will be up to 41.
And that 1 leaking through is actually kind of a big deal here. If Steven Suh has more Boo effects, and it looks like he does...
He would have had it either way because Boo's left the arena.
Right, but he gets to Boo again, and he gets
True.
the extra vigor.
True.
Did it not?
It might only be on the attack of a hero.
Oh, okay.
Maybe?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the only reason
Sure.
I could see not getting another Vigor token there.
So opts to kill that Sellsword and end the turn 41 to 39.
But I think that's very astute. Once KO has the life lead, he would be very reticent to let it go because it powers up so many cards in his arsenal. Vigor token pops for Chris Iaali as well. Both these players are getting free resources right and left. Sunk immediately into his Centauri Saber, currently only coming in for 2, but Steven has got to know it's more than that because there's 3 cards in hand and 1 in arsenal. 4, the most recent winner. Oh, I guess it's not most recent anymore, but he received, I want to say, the 3rd copy of that extended Quick Dodge Flexors. That signifies he is a Calling champion. Chris took down Calling Seattle on this very hero. Blade Runner comes out of the arsenal, gives Go Again to the first Centauri Saber, which was blocked out by Scabskin Leathers. The follow-up is Centauri Saber the second, coming in for 5, thanks to Blade Runner in the red.
I smell a second swing. I didn't see it, and it could be that Chris is getting a little IP penalty there, but he is not one to waste cards.
I smell that very same stench. Michael. It was either that or a Blade Flurry, and because Chris didn't deploy it on the first swing, I think it's a swing of the second that we might be seeing here. There also wasn't a whole lot of damage that Chris could block out efficiently on the previous turn, so it's possible that Steven caught him with a bit of a clunker.
And it looks like just that.
Seems to be it. Unfortunate for Chris. But, you know, IP penalties are much less painful when you aren't on a 5 or 6 turn clock like you are in an aggro match.
Yeah, sometimes it really just is about being efficient with what's presented, and when you can't efficiently block, it's so be it.
Vigor token pops for Steven Suh, which is huge here for this show strength. can be beefed up by the activation of Kayo Underhanded Cheat, which will change any attack's base power from whatever it is to 6. And that's huge for Flex Strength, because if it has 6 or more power, it's also going to gain a hefty +2. So even though this is a pretty innocuous-looking blue, it's cracking in for a big bad 9.
Not bad.
Now, Steven did have the opportunity to block with that booze on the previous turn cycle, I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah, he
wouldn't have
needed the
had enough.
resources to activate the hero power. No vigor tokens, or not enough
Yeah,
to
not
do
enough.
both.
39, yep. I'll pass them over to you.
And Chris blocks out 5 on that 9. Down to 35 he goes. Steven remaining on the front foot in terms of life. And that's huge for him because 2 boos are now essentially out of the deck, at least for a while. One at the bottom after being pitched, the other in the graveyard. And those are the easiest ways to get boos outside of being ahead in life. Chris pops a Vigor token and also a Copper token by pitching a blue. Sword Swings are going to be free for the remainder of the turn, which makes me think he's got a lot of 0-cost cards he would like to deploy here. Unsheathed into Centauri Saber means 5 go again.
There's no active on hits right now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Steven just confirms there are no active on hits here. Chris has not activated Kassai of the Golden Sand. And he might not be able to. I feel like the only yellow he's played or blocked with was Blood Follows Blade.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
Am
he
I
played
mistaken?
one. Don't think he blocked with any. So yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you there.
Here we go. A block of 5 answered only in equipment for Steven Suh. Scowling Flesh Bag. And no, Chris has no effects in response.
It's an interesting choice sitting on the D-React, although he did get kind of burned by Blade Flurry.
Yeah, Chris just takes a quick look at the intimidated card and goes, that wasn't my Blade Flurry, so here it comes out onto the combat chain. 2 damage connects with Steven Suh's eyeball. And the follow-up is Centauri Saber for 4. Does seem like Chris is going to be IP'd once again from that Scowling Flesh Bag, so a little bit of value bought for Steven once again.
Yeah, really nice usage there. I like that. It sort of guarantees you can't just arsenal it.
But you know, now it's gone for Steven, so Chris has full steam ahead on something like a Blood on Her Hands turn down the line.
Did use one of the coppers, so needs to rebuild that a bit.
Looking for a scrap, a card that looked, the last time it looked this good, it was in Uzuri Switchblade in the days of old, but really cool in KO Underhanded Cheat because of the rainbow set of Mocking Blows that he runs. Looking for a scrap, able to banish any color of that because they all come in 1 base power. So it's 5 go again and 2 in the pitch for Steven. Finally, a yellow card blocked with for Chris Iaali. This one is Slice and Dice. And it's a Take It on the Chin, which was lying in wait in the arsenal. Agility token generated, and the remainder of the damage from looking for a scrap covered up. Follow-up for Steven. Is a Mocking Blow, and Chris responds with a Sigil of Solace, which means he robs Steven of the boo from the crowd because now Chris is 1 life point ahead. So now Steven doesn't get to generate a Vigor token. He also doesn't get the buff clause on Mocking Blow because there's no boo.
That was cool. I don't think I've seen that live yet.
You know, it's not just wizards that get to do cool things at instant speed. Steven Suh showing that for us as he transforms this Mocking Blow for a measly 1 into a big bad 6. So Chris does take 5, ultimately ends the turn below Steven in life, but the damage has certainly been done by that Sigil of Solace.
Yeah, that was huge.
Agility token pops at the beginning of the turn, run through pitched because it's a redundant source of go again at this point, Michael. So this 2 go again is gifted by the agility token that was generated for Chris last turn.
Yeah, I do love those agility tokens in Kassai. Just convert 1 card into 4.
And now Chris does have the requisite yellows in the graveyard to activate Kassai of the Golden Sand. I could see a world where he holds on to that activation until later in the game after he's kind of weeded through all of the defense reactions of Steven.
And importantly here, again, Chris evening out the life totals, meaning that if Steven can't gain life, Boo is off the table for the turn.
What is off the table as well is the roll of that Scab Skins, but it was a 2. So back to where he started is Steven Suh. Enlightened Strike, though, is a clean way to convert an entire hand. Steven perhaps knowing that an IP penalty is less fearsome than not getting maximum value on every card in the deck. So kind of goes to the casino in hopes of perhaps drawing a card off of that Enlightened Strike or making it come in for a big bad 7.
If he can't connect with damage here, Chris is going to be beginning to get that life lead. We already know 2 Sigils of Solace have been used, and now this is not connecting.
5 damage covered up here because Chris is worried about the follow-up of a card that requires a boo to get maximum value. Instead, for Steven, it's a show of strength. Cracking in for 8 and likely not to have its power reduced because Chris probably just doesn't run that many cards with 6 or more power in terms of the attacks. Chris in the tank here about how to block this out. It's 4 on the combat chain. Looks like 4 accepted. Down to 29, Chris goes. Probably not a deficit that he can't overcome with 2 cards in hand and 1 in the arsenal. It's all going to depend on the defense reactions drawn for Steven. He doesn't have a defense reaction, but he does have a copy of Fiddler's Green, one of those cards that looks so good in the decks that it jives with. I'm thinking of Lyath Goldmane. I'm thinking of Gravy Bones, who can discard it. And right here, a deck that just wants life gain. Chris does have a punish in the form of yet another Blood Follows Blade. 1 damage leaking over the top and creating a Centauri Sellsword.
Yeah, really big to be able to get over the top of this block here. Steven will heal up at the end of the turn, but the value there has been granted in the connection.
3 go again on the Centauri Sellsword, blocked out by yet another show of strength because Steven just doesn't really have the pitch cards to make good use of it. And then it's another Centauri Saber, only for 2 here, but Chris is A-okay with that. 29 plays 33 when all is said and done. Steven has the life lead, but does have to answer a mercenary on the board for Chris Iaali.
Yeah.
Looks like it's Enlightened Strike. Draw a card is the chosen mode because it is removing a Centauri Sellsword from the board.
And that's the thing about allies is, yeah, it's got 2 life, but it just absorbed 5 damage, which is, I mean, that's how much value did it just get? 8?
Big time, yeah. I would call that 8.
That's pretty freaking good if you ask me.
Kassai of the Golden Sand finally being activated for Chris Iaali.
And pitches the Riches of Trobaldani on top, meaning he'll make a gold regardless. Now looking for the second one as this comes in for 5. Such an annoying breakpoint to deal with. Even though Steven's got that sink below, he's got to be sitting there wondering, like, man, do I give this last piece of equipment block? Or certainly you don't give up the tunic, but regardless, there's going to be a second swing coming out. But he does respect it, decides to say goodbye to the gloves as he puts them in front and postures for the sink below.
Apex Bonebreaker not going to generate a Might token here because it is not blocked in conjunction with a attack action card with 6 or more power. But the block is still good from Steven, shirking off all of that damage and also the gold token that could be generated from the connection of this Centauri Saber. Chris swings again. This Centauri Saber only coming in for 2. There's 2 cards in hand and 1 in the arsenal. Could we finally have found the in the swing? I think I spied a run-through, which could be relevant if Chris has something to follow up with, like a Nourishing Emptiness.
It's possible. I don't know his list that well. Certainly one of the ways you can juke is by having a double go again turn into a Nourishing Emptiness.
That's one of those Colin Erickson things
Yeah.
that happens to me just about every armory.
We see, was that, oh, thought he played to take it on the chin. I was like, that doesn't make sense. No.
No,
Showing
Steven's
the
just having a
banish.
look through both the graveyard and the banish. Probably thinking exactly, I haven't seen an in the swing yet.
Yeah, it seems very likely, especially considering that he's postured using the Kassai activation, and there it is.
In the swing brings this Centauri Saber up to 5. Can only be played because it is the second weapon swing of the turn. Down to 28 goes Steven.
Gold is conferred as well.
who has an overcrowded outside interference and another blue in the hand. I tend to think that this is going to be a swing of the Mandible Claw, discard outside interference.
Did Chris IP that turn?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
He's drawing 4 now.
Thought I saw 2 cards in his hand, right? So he played the second in the swing. What else came through?
There was Blood Follows Blade as what? No, I'm
Because
sorry,
he was
Unsheathed.
Yeah, but at the end there, we said he had 2 cards in hand, 1 in arsenal. I think he might have taken an IP penalty.
Oh, entirely possible.
Yeah.
I might have missed that. It's a Mandible Claw for Steven Suh here, who sits 1 life under his opponent. Unsheathed the 3rd blocks this Mandible Claw because Chris knows that he has got to hold on to the life lead at least until the end of this turn. Steven finds Bask in Your Own Greatness and has a pitch outlet for it. Going to be able to create 3 might tokens based on the number of resources pitched. And then it's just 3 damage. Chris only takes 2. I'm sorry, that was 3. So Bask in Your Own Greatness must come in for 4.
26 plays 28. Chris goes into his turn with a pretty darn big grip. And these two are just fighting neck and neck, but feels like Chris is just ever so slightly inching ahead as the game goes on. Steven currently has the life lead, but Chris has something to say about that as he plays Spoils of War and activates Kassai, saying, I feel like I'm going to connect with at least one of these sabers this turn.
And here it comes. Centauri Saber for 4 go again. Spoils of War really doing everything that the Kassai deck wants to be doing. And all of a sudden, a potential Raisin army, none of which Chris has seen this game so far, could spell doom. 1 Centauri Sellsword is one thing, but 2 Centauri Sellswords, that's 2 things. 3 Centauri Sellswords, that's 3 things.
Oh, man, that's too many things. What do you even do?
Ultimately, I'm making a joke, but KO cannot reliably remove more than 1 ally per turn.
Yeah.
Especially now that E-strikes are becoming thinner and thinner. Outside interference has been used once.
You really don't like committing an E-strike either. And wow, just blows him out with the Blade Flurry here. Blocks a bunch, but still gets over. 7 damage coming through. Gold and 2 copper, and a whole nother Centauri Saber still threatening copper off the back.
Chris is A-OK with the way that this is shaken out so far. Am I wrong? I feel like he should be at 3 gold. Because didn't he pitch riches, connect on the previous turn?
Oh my God, it's blocking 5.
You might.
Yeah, I think it should be 3 gold. I think he removed the 2 and then put a 2 back.
Oh, well,
Might have missed that there.
even the greats make mistakes, if that is in fact true.
That was a beautiful rhyme.
Thank you.
You're a poet and you probably already knew it. Blade Flurry on top of this second Centauri Saber means 4 more damage and an additional 2 copper gifted by Steven.
Now that blood on her hands is looking real juicy.
And there's no flesh bag standing in the way. In the hand for Steven is overcrowded. An agility token pops at the beginning of this turn.
Man, if you got to keep those tokens around, that overcrowded would actually be coming in for
tell
a
you
lot.
what.
Instead, pitching it for the Mandible Claw attack. 6 damage. Go again.
6 damage, of course, because it's beefed up by the 3 might tokens that popped at the beginning of this turn. Looking more like a Reviled Guardian turn than a Reviled Brute turn so far.
Doing his best Anothos impression. 2 cards come down. Chris likes the life lead. As we see Swing Big now coming out, 8 damage on the chain. Let's see how much Chris likes that life lead, or if he's willing to go down below Steven Suh once again, as they fight neck and neck, trading life lead advantages back and forth.
And this makes a lot of sense as to why Steven was willing to take so much damage on that previous turn cycle and also give Chris so many coins, so much legal tender with which to bite back.
Chris now, 3 card hand, 2 in hand, 1 in arsenal, and a resource to boot with that Vigor token popping. Let's see how he navigates this turn. I'm just waiting for the blood on her hands.
Or the
Once that-
Raisin Army. It's all there, man.
Yeah.
But first, a slice and dice and an activation of Kassai of the Golden Sand. Gotta say, I love how patient Chris was with his graveyard up until this point. And now he's threatening gold every single turn. And it's really hard for Steven to stay in the driver's seat in terms of life total if he's just giving up all of his cards on defense.
Yeah, he really needs to be able to end the offensive turn ahead in life with those one-card boo plays when he's on the back foot. So figuring out how to block this will be very important.
There are no defense reactions. There is a reaction, however, and that is Pummel in the hand for Steven Suh.
It's a good one. I like me some pummels.
And I think it was a mocking blow in the arsenal on a take it on the chin. Tech for both of these heroes. Also in the hand.
Pretty good card when you need those go-again enablers.
But Steven has to decide, am I willing to give yet another gold token to Chris Iaali? Because 2 is one of those numbers that you can kind of disrespect because some turns from Kassai, especially if she's playing the value game, require her to pop a gold at the beginning in order to get maximum value.
It's looking like no blocks was the answer as we move to reactions, and it's a red Blade Runner. A lot of damage on this chain, and 3 coming through to start things off, 19 to 19.
But the bill comes at the end, Michael. Chris is going to create a Vigor token, and the second swing, thanks to Slice and Dice and Blade Runner, is going to be way bigger. This is going to be a big, bad 8.
Oh, you were talking about Guardian cosplay earlier. How about a Brute cosplay? That big fat 8 like a swing big coming down.
But it's just a measly Centauri Saber that represents all of that damage. No on-hits here, though, for Steven. Gold token has already been generated. His blood is turning into spoils every time one of these swords connects, but not on this one.
He just
Down
takes
to
it.
11
Wow.
goes Steven.
So not relying on the life lead, presumably, for this 5-card hand, and he's ready to clap back. We know he's got the pummel.
Ah, yes, and Flex Strength, a card that we have already seen on full display for Kayo Underhanded cheat earlier in this game, is on the combat chain once again. This one going to turn into a big bad 9 if Steven decides to activate Kayo Underhanded cheat. But he's also got the pummel. Don't think he has resources to do both.
True. Is this... Yeah, it's a 2 cost, so he could. He's got the Tunic counter available, but that would be 4 more resources, 5 total. And he needs 4 to activate the hero power and 2 to play the pummel. So very unlikely, unless he's got something funky in the arsenal that I'm not aware of to be able to do both.
It's just going to be a pummel play on this Flex Strength. Might seem pretty cool, but ultimately this is a 4-card 6. I guess 9 if you factor in the card Disruption.
He's got the sink below.
Has got a sink blow. It's not going to cover up everything, though, folks. It is still 6 damage. The real blowout would be if Chris was able to find a Take It on the Chin in addition.
I thought I saw that. when he first drew the card, I was like, is that a take? No, it's not.
I'm sorry, wait, why was so much damage taken by Chris there?
How much did he take?
I think 3? It should have been a total of 6 on that Flex Strength, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2 plus 4.
Wait, the pummel put it up.
No. Oh, right. Oh my gosh.
That's pretty cool.
Steven's putting on a masterclass right here.
We are seeing some really fancy
that's
footwork.
slick.
First, we had the sigil to cancel out the boo. Now we've got the pummel on the Flex Strength. Awesome play from both players here.
Oh, that is so sick right there. I'm reeling. Steven is a master of this class, but so is Chris Iaali, who has drawn a card now and is activating blood on her hands. Thinking about paying 5 big bad copper, but no.
Goes for
Might be
4.
saving 1. He's still in the tank about this decision.
I think that makes sense. You don't need to put the go again on the second Centauri Saber.
But no, I do think the decision is pop all 5 copper at this point. So it's going to be +1 assigned twice to the left-handed saber. Also go again. Also the ability to swing twice.
Yeah.
So that is all 5 modes right there. Blood in our hands, one of those cards that brings Kassai players to the yard.
Oh, and he's got that slice and dice on the back foot. The second swing is going to be even bigger than the first.
Oh, and there's more than 2 swings. This time, Michael, it's going to be a total of 3 swings. 6 go again here, the first to be answered for Steven Suh. And to make matters worse, all sword swings are free for Chris Iaali. So he's got full steam ahead to generate 2 Vigor tokens on the connection of these Centauri Sabers, or even beef them up for a little bit of extra damage with Brave Forge Bracers.
Little correction, going to 5, which is the correct number the Centauri Saber is coming in for.
And it's a pummel blocked with here for Steven. It gets a flinch from my co-caster because
you just
never
don't
want
want
to be
block
blocking with
that.
pummels.
It's 2 block. Going
Vigor
down to
token
8.
generated for Chris Iaali. 1 more resource in the pitch. Following up with the very same Centauri Saber that began this combat chain, this time coming in for 7, because of course Slice and Dice is going to do more work on the second swing than the first. One of those bread and butter non-attack action cards for dual-wielding warriors. Vigor token stolen by Steven Suh from Steel Victory. One of those cards that I really can't stand as a Fang player.
I'm sure. And 2 more to follow it up. So casual, 3-card 14. Pretty good.
Ain't bad at all. Steven now down to 2, squarely on the back foot in terms of the tempo and also the life race. I think he can put that quest to bed at this point, Michael.
Yeah, the crowd won't be booing for a while. Steven kept 3 cards, I believe. Just trying to do something on the back foot here. Pitching Authority of Ataya.
It is a mocking blow in addition to an activation of Kayo Underhanded cheat. Like you said, pitching an Authority of Ataya. Are there defense reactions in the hand of Chris Iaali, though? Not a 1.
He's fine with that.
So only 6 damage here for Chris to answer when he's at a whopping 15. And I got to point out, he's at a whopping 15, but he's also at an effective, let's see, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Yeah. Doesn't like his hand, though, and just blocks with it. Says, I'd rather continue to play the value game instead of taking needless damage when I can draw a card and make my Sabers free.
Huge draw here for Chris Iaali. It is Sharpen Steel, but does need a Go Again enabler, so it's going to be Trot Along instead. And Chris able to convert Sharpen Steel on another day, so instead thinking, maybe I would just like to bluff an attack reaction for the remainder of this turn.
Yeah, I mean, I like this. He ends up basically just converting 1 card into 4 damage. In this case, 5, or in terms of value, because he's blocking with a 3 block.
A-okay. And Sharpen Steel is going to look just as good next turn as opposed to this turn. Steven might be in a situation where he can disrespect something like an In the Swing because he has a Sigil of Solace in the hand. Nevertheless, he reaches for a blocking card.
He's in trouble. He can't even really convert that looking for a scrap. I mean, he can, but he has to pitch the Sigil when you're at 2 life. I really like playing. Oh, he's got the resource from the Tunic. Saving grace there, so.
It's a block of Trot Along. Chris, all too happy to just stymie the bleeding for now and wait for the next turn when he can really put Steven into the bin. What a card to do it. There's a Raise an Army finally in the hand of Chris Iaali with 2 gold on board. 5 Go Again here is what Steven's Tunic resource is converted into. Not bad at all, but Chris is saying no blocks, which can't be good for the underhanded cheat. Sigil of Solace out of the hand means it's 5 plays 10 when all is said and done. And it's back over to Chris Iaali, who has got victory in his sights.
Pitches a yellow.
And he's got tricks on this turn, too. In the swing is in the hand.
Is that a Blood on her hands?
There's a Raise an Army, I know that for certain.
Okay. That's also scary.
But it might be.
He's a little resource light. But yeah, just plays the Blood on her hands, probably giving the Go Again. I like that.
Not bad at all. Because, yeah, unless there was a Go Again in the arsenal, which there's not, Sharpened Steel, we knew about that. Blood on her hands, that 1 copper really necessary in order to give Go Again.
I'll activate Kassai. Yeah.
There's a Kassai activation here as well. Perhaps the last one that we will see this game. Steven does have a little bit of insulation. There's a sink below in the hand, but also a 2-block.
He's hoping to get away with his hand intact. 6 coming through on the first swing, though, and we know the second swing will be 5 plus the hidden reaction there.
Gold token threatened on this first swing of the Centauri Saber. And also a yellow slice and dice means the bill is going to come on the second swing of a Centauri Saber this turn. 6 go again now. Steven forced to block with a swing big. Another one of those cards, like Pummel, you really don't want to be blocking with. Beefs up the Centauri Saber to 7, but Steven has the answer in the form of sink below. All damage covered up on the first chain link. The second, though, is Centauri Saber for 4. Definitely going to be 7 if Chris decides to deploy the in the swing in the hand. But that all depends on how much Steven respects this.
No blocks.
No reaction, says Chris Iaali. Doesn't want to go for the throat here. Instead, more happy to leave his opponent at a measly 1 life.
It's such an innocuous play, but it's plays like this that just make me realize how good Chris Iaali is at this game. Oh, no reactions or no blocks? Great. No reactions. We'll see what you've got and not give you a chance to blow me out if you do have one. I'll take the 4 damage and get you to 1. Save it for next turn. Really clean.
No Sigil of Solaces left for Steven Suh, so the tricks are not plentiful anymore. There are a couple defense reactions still lurking in the Reviled Heroes deck. There is a Fate Foreseen in the hand for Chris Iaali. Decides not to block with Valiant Dynamo on this turn. He's got a kill shot and a half in this hand, Michael. It is Raise an Army plus Blade Runner. Question is, does he have the blue, which could really enable some nasty stuff? Finally, Valiant Dynamo comes out and shores up 1 of the 3 damage from Mandible Claw. Down to 7 goes Chris Iaali, but is effectively at much more because that fridge is still relatively untouched.
I was a little surprised to not see him convert that. You know, it's always nice to keep your armor till the end of the game, but sometimes it's nice to just sort of use it while you can, especially when you have a potential second block behind it.
Slice and dice out of the hand and beefing up this Centauri Saber, the first to come, but certainly not the last, by 1. And you know, come to think of it, Michael, I think Chris did have a Gorganian Tome on a previous turn cycle. Maybe I did he play it?
Yeah.
Oh, he did. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I was thinking I misspotted the Arsenal card.
No, that was the turn
Okay,
he
cool.
played the Trot-Along.
Right. Command and Conquer plus Fiendel Spring Tunic blocked with on this Centauri Saber. Go again conveyed by Blade Runner in the blue. The follow-up here is a Centauri Saber for a whopping 6 damage. In the swing, backing it up from the Arsenal. Steven only able to block with 2 cards here, but first he has to convert both of them into blocking cards. That'll be 2 copies of Outside Interference. And then it's 9 total given. And now that play by Chris to hold on to in the swing is huge because it gets over by 1 thanks to the +1 power clause on Centauri Saber after being blocked with by an attack action card. And Chris Iaali showing that he is still a first place winner of a calling for a reason. And he is looking like an absolute monster on Kassai of the Golden Sand.
You know, I overheard you talking to Alex Vore about waiting until you guarantee lethal, and we just saw Chris Iaali display just that. Doesn't get rid of his tool until he knows for a fact that it will kill his opponent, and he does it masterfully.
Unwavering patience for Chris Iaali. First, we're going to go ahead and talk about our brand new sponsor. Once again, we're going to hit it hard. It's Fab Foundry, offering you sealed product in addition to high-end Flesh and Blood singles and those ones that just round out your deck so cleanly. This is farm-to-table Flesh and Blood. Fab Foundry has been in the game of Flesh and Blood since 2020. They are early adopters of the game that we know and loved, and they're also kindred spirits with Arcane Games and Events in terms of what we want to provide to the community.
These guys have been out there ripping product to fill their shelves with. They've got packages of commons and rares that you can buy from every set to get yourselves set up and ready for the Silver Age that's about to drop, coming up with Compendium. And yeah, go check their store out. They've got so many singles that you can buy all in one convenient location. They cut out the middleman, and it's cheaper for it.
And listen, if we haven't made a compelling enough reason for you to go to Fab Foundry, cut out that middleman, and get all of the Flesh and Blood product you need, you can also do so by directly supporting the AGE Open Series. Go ahead and scan that QR code at the top of your screen, or go to www.fabfoundry.co/AGELA. That tells Fab Foundry directly that AGE sent you. Folks, that was a long match, if I do say so myself. Got to commend the players for playing at a quick clip and keeping us on par. But yeah, Chris Iaali takes it in the end when those Centauri Sabers are looking a lot more like dual-wielded grindstones.
Yeah, both decks are very mid-range poised, grindy, but we saw Chris Iaali on Kassai's got more grind than Kayo knew what to deal with. Took it in the end.
We're going to go ahead and go to a break, but you keep your eyes glued to the screen because there's more Flesh and Blood coming at you. Don't go anywhere.